We are regulatory and privacy compliant worldwide. We are working with 6 of the 10 largest pharma companies in the world. We have 15 languages in place and users in about 104 countries so far. We've been on a rapid growth trajectory. We've hit our bookings targets for last year and are on track for this year as well. Great to see everybody. So Lynda Brown-Ganzert, CEO of Curatio. So decades of research have shown that social support helps with not only psychosocial and well-being, but things like adherence and self-management. But it's been really difficult for healthcare to prescribe that at scale. And so that's what we've built at Curatio. We've built a privacy and regulatory compliant platform that can be used by any life sciences company to connect their patients and to deliver private label social networks. Those social networks deliver curated evidence-based content, programs, coaching, tracking tools, medication reminders, and an end-to-end digital patient support program. As mentioned, we are regulatory and privacy compliant worldwide. We are working with 6 of the 10 largest pharma companies in the world. We have 15 languages in place and users in about 104 countries so far. We've been on a rapid growth trajectory. We've hit our bookings targets for last year and are on track for this year as well. We are a B2B SaaS model, and licensed either in a branded or an unbranded way, often as a companion to a therapy. And as I mentioned, we're using both a combination of some patented technology around matchmaking, AI, machine learning, to connect patients to other patients that are going through the same thing, and then to connect them to curated evidence-based content, programs, coaching, trackers. We also have telehealth integrations and remote patient monitoring. And all of that compiles into some pretty interesting contextual data insights, or what we call real-time, real-world evidence, which really helps our customers understand their patient populations, what they need, and how to best support them at scale. I'm happy to dive into case studies if you'd like to follow up with me. Here's one that I think is really interesting. It was a patient population that was experiencing about 50% drop off of therapy due to a fairly manageable side effect. We were able to boost that to 92% of patients remaining on therapy and retaining about $100,000 per year per patient. So that's just some of the work that we're doing. We are addressing a fairly massive need. There really isn't a life sciences organization that isn't trying to use new digital patient support programs to support not only patient adherence, but also things like behavioral change, and to garner that real world evidence that shows ROI and efficacy. We've got a nice cost savings for a patient here, other published and peer-reviewed clinical evidence I'd be happy to share. We are not raising at the moment, but we always love meeting with partners and customers who are looking to move into next generation patient support. And I welcome your questions and comments. Thanks so much, and feel free to reach out to me at any time.
Just so people who are new to Curatio understand, what are you providing that life sciences can't achieve using more mainstream social networks?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, when you're using any types of mainstream social network, you don't own the relationship with the patient. You certainly can't brand it. And there's a lot of data and security issues as well. So we really built a platform that was designed for life sciences, designed for healthcare, and that really reconnected or provided a direct relationship with your patient population. So if you think about mainstream social, anytime you're interacting with a patient, there's always a gateway, right? There's always a platform between you and your patient population. Not to mention that you don't own the data, the patient doesn't own their data. And there's all sorts of security, privacy, retargeting that isn't ideal. And so what we hear from our patients is how much they appreciate having a safe and secure place that is private to them, where they, they can be in a group that understands what they're going through.
What is your revenue model? You want to expand on that?
Yeah, sure. So B2B SaaS. So we have the SaaS license for the platform. We also have a data insights part of our business and a micro agency as well. So those are our three streams of revenue. And again, happy to get into that offline.
I always love this kind of question. How do you see your perfect exit?
Well, we're on a mission, and the mission is no patient alone. So we really want this to be a gold, standard of care for every patient on the planet. So, in terms of exit, it's been a really interesting time and lots of opportunity out there. But we're really looking at, partnerships and growth where we become a global offering. As mentioned, we're already in 104 countries. So, we're really looking at how does this become a standard of care and support patients and families everywhere around the world.
And how long do users stay engaged in the communities, and how often do you get repeat visitors to the communities?
Yeah, so we have very nice stickiness in part because these are very specific communities for conditions and are very personalized to the user. So, depending on the condition, because the platform's agnostic. So we're working in everything from, rare disease to chronic to mental health. So for some folks, this is a day-by-day type of engagement. For others, it's a week. For others, it's checking in a couple of times a month. It just really is very specific to the type of condition. But we measure that, we look at stickiness. We also have our own model around return on health. So not just ROI, but return on health. And that looks at things like behavioral access, engagement, and improvement over time in terms of certain sort of key indicators.
Going back to the global reach, can you touch on why that is so important? And I'm thinking about, for example, rare disease communities, and it's so difficult to find people, and they're so dispersed. Talk about a little bit about that global strategy.
Part of it's in our DNA. So when we set out to be a global solution. So we weren't looking at just a particular country or region. And that aligns with our mission. So right from day one, we looked at what did we need to build in order to be a global solution. And that's why, we are privacy and regulatory compliant worldwide. Secondly is bridging the digital divide. So there is a lot of, inequity, lack of information and access around the world, and we wanted to help with that. Third, of course, is our customers need help with that. So they're not just rolling out a therapy in one territory, of course, they're rolling out a therapy worldwide. And so our ability to do, any language in 2 weeks, to already have, 15 to 20 existing languages, to have community managers in those countries makes it super easy for them to do a global deployment with us.